Yo, what up, everybody? So yeah, I just wanted to go over a little bit about this Bryan Kohberger, where a lot of these YouTubers are on the bandwagon where they're just the PCA just wasn't enough. They don't feel it was enough to get him arrested, and that it's kind of shady. So I was going to show Crime Circus strip drops. He has a little series going on about it, and it's pretty interesting. Some of the points he makes. But I just wanted to go over that real quick. Probably not real quick. They're like 20 minutes long each. I gotta stop and do a little commentary and all that crap. But yeah, if anybody wants to come up do a little commentary with me, let me know. I'll drop the link if you want. And yeah, let's go and look at this. Get into this first video. Jen, I hope you feel better. All right, like I said, I gotta stop every once in a while so he don't flag me or nothing for watching this video. Um, some of the points he makes is kind of valid and makes sense, but you know, he says, "Oh, I only tell the truth and actual facts in the case and stuff." Yeah, but I mean, then he's like, "I'll tell you if it's a theory," and then he's like, "This is a theory." He goes on with the theory, but anyways, we'll just watch.
In this video, we're going to discuss Bryan Kohberger, Moscow, Idaho, and Bryan Kohberger's possible innocence. That's a boom. We're going to discuss that throughout this video and a bunch of other miscellaneous.
Oh yeah, and he's a boom guy. Everything's boom, boom. Yeah, it gets pretty annoying, but I have it sped up too a little bit. Can you guys hear that all right? I have it turned up, and I know it might be a little bit hard because it's sped up, but as far as volume, we good? Anyone thumbs up? All right, cool. Thanks.
Goodies, you don't want to miss a single second of this video, and make sure you stay tuned until the very end of this video for some bonus booms. Now let's see what I have to say for myself this time. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Crime Circus. My name's Drip Drop, and I'll be your host as always. This is another super special feature presentation on Bryan Kohberger in Moscow, Idaho. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. You demanded a new BK video, and this is a
So yeah, so I spend the whole time watching him to see if he blinks. I had to watch this thing like 10 times just to listen to the whole thing. But yeah, he doesn't blink because he does little like about 10-second clips at the most. And then it's a different clip he splices in, so he never blinks throughout the whole thing. And I'm trying to figure out, does he have just makeup around everything, or is it a mask, like like prosthetic? You know how they put the little piece of rubber or whatever on there, and then they kind of make up around it or stick it on there. I don't know, but it's driving me nuts. But I digress. Here we go.
new BK video. The date of this recording is June 13th, 2023, so this is brand new and fresh. Anyways, I know you've come to expect booms, and there's going to be some booms within this video right here. I know some of you out there missed me, and rest assured, I missed you too. But I'm always working super hard behind the scenes. If not on true crime, I'm out there in the real world trying to save people for real. Anyways, now let's dive right in and start this video off properly with the...
He's a true hero. American hero right there. Doing God's work, helping out people in real life, not just on YouTube. It's like Born Betty's alter ego or something. I don't know.
A first boom. Every single person arrested in the United States is presumed innocent. So Bryan Kohberger must be presumed innocent until proven guilty. And before we continue, I want to give a very brief disclaimer. This is not a bunch of conspiracies. This is a bunch of realities. Moving on. We can't presume Bryan Kohberger to actually be guilty because we haven't actually seen any real evidence. In fact, there's a gag order on this case. And why do you think they want to gag us with this case anyways? What did they have to hide? Moving right along.
Yeah, so he moves right along and doesn't explain what they have to hide, but he moves right along.
Let's jump into the next boom. The timeline. The authorities told us for the first few weeks that the timeline was between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. They were wrong. They had the whole world in a frenzy searching their surveillance videos.
Oh yeah, I probably stopping this too much and yapping. I'm sorry about that. But I just want to he goes on this whole tangent about they initially said it's between 3 and 4 the killings happened and blah 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 blah. And he has a whole thing about it. But then he's like they were wrong. But then later on in the video he'll be like, oh, I believe that that's when the killings actually happened. They were right the first time, not later on between 4 and 4:24. So
Social media posts, and a bunch of online sleuths looking at the wrong time. They told us between 3 and 4 a.m. If they were investigating this case properly, surely they would have known between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. is when this crime actually happened. Why didn't they tell us the proper timeline in the first place? What did they have to hide? Kaylee's own sister made an appearance on the media and corrected the police department's incorrect timeline. But that's not all. The police department also made reference to an Uber driver dropping off Kaylee and Maddie in the early a.m. hours on November 13th.
yeah, so then his other boom is that it wasn't an Uber driver, it was a personal driver that they hired to do it. Basically an Uber not through Uber, you know? I mean, it's probably just someone that's doing it on the side and he does it to certain people and he just doesn't go through Uber or something like that, is what I'm guessing. Um anyways.
Uber came out and made a statement saying no Uber driver was involved in this case. The police department had to put out a correction saying it wasn't an Uber driver, it was a private driver. Let's continue. The FBI profilers in this case were on the wrong street. Why weren't they on the right street? According to the arrest affidavit, Bryan Kohberger was on a different street. So what were they searching for on that other street near the fire hydrant? The police department said it was a targeted attack. They made the community feel safe, and then they said it wasn't targeted, and then that they weren't sure if it was the house or the people inside of the house that were targeted. In reality, they just didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, what do you Hey, how's it going, Mel? Yeah, so I mean, this guy is like, I mean, it's a fluid investigation. It's going to change, you know. I mean, everything they're learning new stuff as every minute, every second that goes by as they're investigating this, they're kind of learning something new. So, yeah, I just don't. He's like all crazy about them changing their minds or changing the time of death. I mean, by the time the autopsy comes, they get more information. So, I mean, everything's changing, and a lot of these people are freaking out, saying he's basically not getting a fair shake because they're rushing to all this stuff. But it's just everything's changing. So of course they're going to change their mind. Times change when they gather more information.
Was it a lie, or were they just confused? Now let's jump right back to the timeline real quick. 4 a.m. Within 24 hours of this crime, the police department had already gathered up local surveillance videos, including from the neighbor's house. So within 24 hours, they surely knew exactly what time this alleged white Hyundai was driving back and forth in front of the property. They still chose not to correct the 3 a.m. timeline to the 4 o'clock timeline until many weeks later.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they actually knew that the car was actually involved or not. They saw it driving around. I mean, it's a college campus. You got DoorDash, you have other things like that. You have people coming home. The bars are closing about that time. So, I mean, a lot of people are coming home at that time. And, it's not a big deal to see a car driving around.
They had myself and thousands of other online sleuths looking for a 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra. Turns out, Bryan Kohberger drives a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra. Yes, these cars look very similar. So why didn't they tell us to look for a 2011 to 2015 Hyundai Elantra if they just weren't?
Yeah, so this was kind of explained by them. Basically, they had their own people look and that looks at cars and makes and stuff and can do that. And they thought it was between that. And then it got sent to the FBI and they did their own little investigation. And that profiler actually said it could be anywhere up to a 2015 or I mean a 2016 model. So that got changed at that point, and that was a little bit long, further into the investigation. Wasn't right away. So I mean, like everything, they looked at it. The first initial people thought it was. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, they got the make, the model. They just missed it by 2 years. I mean, on the car. So I mean, that's pretty good. Cars don't really change a whole hell of a lot in a 5 year span, or even for a 10 year span. A lot of cases where it's that noticeable, especially on it driving by or not a still photo of the car, like a high resolution photo of the car. But anyways, he sticks on this little subject for a while. It's like a big point for everybody, which is true because I talked about it the other night. I forget where, but the only thing they really have to identify that they don't have him driving, a picture of him smiling in the driver's seat of the car during that time. The only thing they really have is some of the video shows that there is no front license plate on the car. And I guess in Washington and Idaho, you need to have a back and a front license plate, but in Pennsylvania, you don't. And that's where the car was actually registered to. So, I mean, that's kind of like how they're saying is an identifying mark instead of like a ding in the door or, a missing hubcap or something like that. Anyways, we'll go on.
100% sure. Maybe they actually were sure. Maybe they really were looking for a 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra. Maybe things changed along the way. What are they trying to hide? Are you following what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? Bryan Kohberger is presumed innocent and may actually be innocent.
Yeah, like I just explained, I mean, I don't think they had anything to hide. They initially thought it was a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra, so like, hello. Now they actually got someone who looked at it a little bit more. They were able to probably zoom a little more, clean up the video a little bit more, and have a little bit more detail of the picture of the car that they were looking at from these video clips that supposedly they have around that time and around the area. So they were able to identify the car and make it, hey, no, it looks like it probably could be anywhere from a 2014 to 2016 Elantra, not just 11 to 13. What's up, Boston? All right, we'll go on. This is a 23-minute video, even though I'm going at 1.5 speed. So, and what's great because this guy talks so slow, it's actually not that fast with him talking at 1.5 speed. Anybody wants to come up, let me know.
Boom. The police department and prosecution and the powers that be have not been honest or open with the families. Kaylee's father has been ticked off since day one. He wants answers and they just won't give him answers. What are they trying to hide? I personally do the show for the victims' families, so shout out. Moving right along in this super ultra interesting fast-paced video, let's take a look at the search.
Yeah, I like that. No, shout out to the victims' families. They're going through a tough time, and I'm sure if they actually watch social media and stuff like that. So I mean, they're probably watching some of this stuff that these people are saying. So shout out to them.
Search warrant video from Bryan Kohberger's apartment. As you can see in this video right here, this is the police department searching Bryan Kohberger's apartment.
Oh yeah, this is pretty funny. This little part here. Yeah.
Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about the video right here. This is the police department searching Bryan Kohberger's apartment. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about this search video. Did you see what I saw in that video? I do wonder.
When there's nothing holding you back, what would your thing be?
Anything, because they're trying to hide something apparently.
Yeah, so he was like, "Did you see what I saw?" Which I didn't see nothing. Did you see that? Because I didn't see that. Yeah, so basically, he's like, they didn't show any of the search at all, and that was a big red flag. Um, I'm sure that video's there. They just haven't released it. It's under wraps right now. It's no big deal. It makes sense to me, but who knows? Yeah, perfectly, 100%. These people are just like, oh, what are they doing? They're violating the government's all about just finding someone, which he goes into that little thing too, and it makes some sense. Like sure they wanted to solve this case because it was University of Idaho is a big part of their community. They don't want everybody to not come there and have this like murder hanging over their head or murders hanging over their head. So, I mean, there's a lot of reason in that, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense to nitpick every little thing because they don't want to tell us. Happens with a lot of these cases too, where everybody wants to know all the facts and all the details, and they're not giving us all that. They're just we have to wait, and a lot of people take that as an oh, it's they're trying to fool us or some bullshit's going on, some conspiracy. But I don't know. Let's continue.
Oh, and let me know what you think about this search video. Did you see what I saw in that video? I do wonder. We didn't see anything because they're trying to hide something apparently. I run this worldwide international true crime YouTube channel, and I've never seen this kind of embarrassing evidence released to the public before. What is so secretive about walking through this alleged, presumably innocent man's apartment? Okay, he didn't have a shower curtain. What about it? I've stayed in some hotels that didn't.
Yeah, and his excuses for not having a shower curtain's kind of comical. I mean, I don't know. It may just be me, but it's literally $1 at the dollar store for a shower curtain. So I don't see his excuse for it or a couple of his excuses for it doesn't make sense really. But I digress.
Have a shower curtain. It doesn't mean anything. And anytime I've moved into a new apartment, there's never a shower curtain included. And unless you go to the Dollar Tree, those can be about $10 to $15 at Walmart or some other store that could be even more expensive. And was Bryan Kohberger employed? Not that we've heard, unless he was delivering for DoorDash, and that doesn't exactly pay the bills.
Yeah, so he didn't have money for a shower curtain because he wasn't employed. I mean, come on, man. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand that logic there. But like I said, you can get them at the dollar store for $1, literally $1. In yeah.
Bryan Kohberger drove a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra. He wasn't driving a white Mercedes Benz. Maybe he couldn't afford a shower curtain. No big deal. A lot of us can't afford the simple things in life. Anyways, I've been gone from the Moscow, Idaho series for a while now, but I haven't tuned out of this case, and I've been following it every single day, researching behind the scenes, reading books with thousands of pages in them to further my knowledge.
And I thought that was hilarious too. I've been reading books with thousands of pages to bring up my knowledge about this case. It's like, what, dude? What book are you reading that's giving you knowledge about this case? I don't, anyway.
Anyways, let's start with the next boom. Anonymous sources. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you have high IQs out there. My audience is super intelligent. You have to stop believing anonymous sources. News agencies have lost a lot of credibility in this case. Other YouTubers, they'll say anything for clickbait. You have to stop believing anonymous sources.
No, I actually agree with them here. You know, like, ooh, yeah, these anonymous sources are just crazy. And these YouTubers do make up a bunch of bullshit, and they're just like, hey, you know, believe it, believe it. And they think they repeat it 100 times that it's fact now. So I do agree with that.
Anonymous sources are a big LOL. If somebody wants to make an outrageous claim, why are they anonymous? They should give their legal government name and show their face so their friends and family can shame them if they're caught lying. That's the thing. If you're anonymous, nobody can shame you, and you can just roll around on the floor laughing as you troll the world. Oftentimes, anonymous sources are either trolling or, even worse, completely imaginary on behalf of the news agency or YouTuber. And I'm just keeping it real with you, ladies and gentlemen, here at Crime Circus.
Have you noticed he has not blinked yet? And it's hilarious. It drives me nuts that I like sit there and like, come on, blink. Just one time I want to catch you blinking. But he's pretty good about it, man. He those little short clips spliced together. He's got it. Hey that girl. Hey Wing Zero, how you doing?
Integrity and honesty matters. Because I respect you and I know you respect me. And we keep it real here at Crime Circus and the Crime Circus Cult. For those of you that don't know, I have 2 YouTube channels. The Crime Circus Cult is my second YouTube channel. This is not sponsored. Moving right along. And unless it's in a court record or a court document, it cannot be trusted or believed. But what is in court documents is Bryan Kohberger is presumed innocent. And that's just how it is in the United States legal system. I'm not making it up. Anybody arrested is presumed innocent. Bryan Kohberger hasn't been convicted of any crimes. Do you think it's possible that Moscow PD was too busy busting underage drinkers and people that put up stickers around town? That's right, there's something known as Stickergate in Moscow, Idaho, and that case dragged on for years.
Yeah, so Sticker Gate. I was like, wait, we got to get another gate going on. Sticker Gate. I hadn't heard about this. Thanks, that girl. Happy Father's Day to your hubby, your dad, grandpa, all the fathers out there.
Because the father and son team put up stickers around town, and the police and prosecution did not like that. Who knows how much money that ended up costing the taxpayers and attorney fees, and in the end, it did not end well for the defendants in Stickergate. But maybe we can talk about that another time. Anyways, was there a rush to solve this case? Maybe find a patsy from...
Yeah, this is where he goes into a little conspiracy theory about, the university wanted to hush this up as quick as possible. A patsy, as he puts it. They want to just clean it up real quick so that they could go back to business as normal, because that's the money maker there in town. So, I mean, like I was saying at the beginning of this, there is some validity to that, but I mean, they're not going to railroad someone just to clean up their murders like that, or to keep it. I mean, not that it's never happened, probably, but I don't know.
From out of town that was a loner? Somebody that would be an easy person to pin it on? Or not? I don't know. Right now, we just don't know if Bryan Kohberger is innocent or guilty, because we certainly, in this case, maybe find a patsy from out of town that was a loner. Somebody that would be an easy person to pin it on. Or not? I don't know. Right now, we just don't know if Bryan Kohberger is innocent or guilty, because we certainly haven't seen a single shred of evidence that says he's guilty. Allegedly, a microparticle of his father's DNA was found on a knife sheath, but from what I've read, the DNA testing is a bit flaky in this case.
Yeah, so he talks about the DNA here. He actually, in the second video that I was going to play after this one, it's like a little series he did. He does correct it about him saying that his father's DNA was found in the knife sheath. It He corrects it in the following video. He says it in here it was his father's, but it was really supposedly Brian's, in that they found it out to be Brian's through his father's. So he just made a little mistake. He does correct it, like I said, the next video. If anyone caught that, that was a little mistake.
Apparently, they didn't find any DNA on the knife sheath at first, and it was mailed to a third-party laboratory where they used some of their own patented technology to find a very small microparticle of Bryan Kohberger.
Now, see, I haven't heard that. I heard that they did find something, and they just couldn't really get. They were afraid it wasn't enough, so they sent it to the other lab that was able to use their own technology to kind of make a bigger sample of it, for lack of a better term. It wasn't that they didn't find any at all. So it it's his DNA. It was 99% matched to his father, and since his father has one son, I gotcha. Yeah, so he kind of talks about that little conspiracy theory because a lot of people are kind of on this DNA thing because um with the PCA they didn't put it in there, or they had it in there but they were like, hey, if you have to, don't use it, just use everything else but that. We put it in there though if you want to use it, but if you think that it's going to be a problem later on, don't use it, blah blah blah. So I mean, a lot of people are kind of up in arms about the whole DNA thing. It is kind of weird though, um, finding that little touch DNA. And it is touch DNA. It's not like it's just blood on there. So that's a big difference too. Um, what kind of DNA it is? Easy transfer DNA or touch DNA. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different. Then there's actual, whatever, blood DNA, nuclear DNA, whatever the hell they call this shit. But there is a difference between different DNAs. It was touch DNA. Gotcha.
Kohberger's father on that sheath. That will be contested in court, and we just don't know one way or the other yet. And if somehow Brian or his father's DNA is on that knife sheath, somebody else could have put it there before or after the crime. It's not exactly a smoking gun like some people might hope it is. I've been researching and investigating true crime for years, and I've seen plenty of cases where the DNA ends up being a red herring. I've seen a lot of Dateline episodes where the wrong person was convicted of faulty DNA, misplaced DNA, or straight up sabotaged, planted DNA.
Yeah, I think the other issue with the DNA is that it wasn't. Yeah, I think that, yeah, generally they don't test DNA if the sample's too small. Yeah, I think that's kind of what happened with this case. It was so small, but they, like the other lab and other places, are coming up with stuff where they can kind of make the DNA bigger. Like take a little bit of DNA and kind of finagle it so that it's a bigger sample, so they can get some shit out of it. I don't know. Anyways, he kind of goes into a little bit more.
So we need more than a microparticle of DNA to say Bryan Kohberger's guilty. But moving right along, let's talk about the list of cleared people. Moscow PD created a website where they were clearing people left and right within the first 24 hours.
Yeah, so now he goes into talking about how they cleared a bunch of people. They even had a website. They're like, okay, this guy's cleared, and Jack's cleared, and the grub truck guy is cleared, and all this stuff, which was a little weird that they were doing that. Um, did they already think they had a suspect at the time? They just didn't want to say anything. It was a little strange this part, but let them go real quick.
Hours, the first 48 hours, the first week, they were updating that site faster than I've seen any website ever updated in my entire life. How did they clear people so quickly during an active quadruple passing away investigation? It was quite alarming how fast they were clearing people, but not exactly saying names, just dropping little clues, like the man from the grub truck video, or the private driver, and of course, the unknown male that Maddie and Kaylee were calling right before they passed away.
I mean, he does have a point there. They weren't really saying anyone's name. They were saying it like that, like the person that drove them home, he's cleared. The person that they were texting, he's not considered a suspect. The grub truck driver and the guy standing out there, not considered a suspect. Was a little weird, but anyway.
Who was that unknown male? Jack Decor? Shout out. Now, if they were so quick to clear people, and they were wrong about so many other things, such as there being an Uber driver, the year of the white Hyundai Elantra, the timeline, and so much more. Maybe they were wrong about Bryan Kohberger too. And whether you like it or not, Bryan Kohberger has a position in this case. Whether he's involved, whether he did it alone, we don't know. But what we do know is when Bryan Kohberger and his father were pulled over in Indiana, that was the first thing they talked about, because the police decided to pull over Bryan on the exact same day that Bryan Kohberger passed away at the hands of... Important. Just based on that alone, you can't say that's not an important piece. Exact same day that Bryan Kohberger passed away at the hands of SWAT team. That's important. Just based on that alone, you can't say that's not an important piece.
Yeah, so he's talking about the other guy that, man, I can't remember exactly what he did. Was it the guy that killed, like, I think he killed a family member or something, and he ended up dying by SWAT. Can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, he almost had the same name. A lot of people got him confused at first with Bryan. Even when they, came out and said, "Oh yeah, we arrested Bryan," they were like thinking about that guy. Like just his name was almost the same. It was weird.
To this case. How many people passed away at the hands of SWAT team in Pullman, Washington, and how often? It just so happened on the exact same day that Bryan Kohberger was pulled over, twice. Boom, boom, boom. Now I'm going to play you a short clip of a traffic stop video from 1 month prior to the passing aways in Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip the traffic stop thing. It really has nothing to do with anything. He talks about how clean the car looks. I don't know. We'll just skip that part though.
Meow. Please leave me a comment down below. Does this seem like the type of psychopath that would commit the worst?
Oh yeah, he does say how nice Bryan is. Look how cordial he is with the cop. Well, I'm like, yeah, he's kind of just like arguing with the cop, more or less. Seeing if he can get out of the ticket. Um, I don't know. It seemed like he and she. It was a lady cop too. So it was. I don't know. It seemed weird. It was a weird interaction. Anyways. But yeah, he does this little thing, gives a shout out to his cat, and he goes meow. It's pretty funny, actually.
Quadruple passing away in modern history, 30 days after this body camera video? If he's so unhinged and unstable, why is he being so polite with the police officer? The police officer even has a laminated cheat sheet just to give people tickets and take their money. That's what they like to do in these small towns. Generate revenue. They like to give you tickets for little small infractions where nobody was injured and there were no victims. No victim, no crime. Apparently he either was or wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and he either did or didn't go a little too far into the intersection to take a turn. Ladies and gentlemen, we've all done that. That doesn't make us quadruple passing awayers. And as you can see in this video, his car is squeaky clean. So if his car is squeaky clean 1 month prior to the passing aways, why wasn't his car squeaky clean in Indiana? Don't you think it would have been really clean and it would have been his obsession to make sure nothing was on it or to draw any attention from law enforcement?
Well, if anyone's traveled down the road, I mean, obviously, it freaking your car gets dirty super quick, and if you're on the highway driving, I mean, that dirt coming up underneath there on the back end like that, that's just common. I mean, you could pretty much, you hit one little rainstorm, and your car could be covered like that in about 100 miles. So, and they were driving all the way from Idaho or Washington, excuse me, to Pennsylvania. So that's a long drive. It just makes you angry. Yeah, no, he's kind of annoying. Uh, yeah. Where's Ellie at? This is Ellie's favorite guy now. It's Dolly and then Drip Drop in that order.
The claim has been made that Bryan Kohberger was cleaning his car in Pennsylvania. It seems like it would have made a lot more sense for Bryan Kohberger to clean his car in Pullman, Washington, during the entire month that he was waiting in Pullman, Washington as this investigation was taking place. I don't know about you out there watching this, but to me, that raises a green flag as opposed to a red flag. The green flag shows me that he might be innocent because apparently he didn't clean his car after the past.
Yeah, I mean there is no proof that he didn't clean his car. He was pulled over there, and his car was squeaky clean. So his car was always clean. He took a trip across the country. That's why his car was dirty. I mean, when you get somewhere after a cross country travel, you're gonna clean out your car. I mean, you know how much crap's in your car. I mean, and then you had someone else in the car with you, his dad. I mean, that's a mess. I mean, you have like all the fast food bags and all the other stuff. Sure, you may clear it out every time you stop and get gas or something, but it just accumulates a little bit, even if you do that. So, anyways, I digress.
Way. Not allegedly until he went to Pennsylvania, which doesn't really make sense to wait 6 weeks to clean your car. You'd think somebody would be cleaning it the same morning or the next morning or the next morning after that, or maybe even a week, 2 week, 3, 4, 5 weeks later. No, he allegedly cleaned his car 6 weeks later. Anyways, I previously.
Yeah, I just don't understand how that makes him innocent, or makes him look innocent because he didn't clean his car. Um, he would have cleaned it before. Like I said, I mean, his car was clean. If he's driving around town, it's not going to get too dirty. You're driving across country, it's going to get dirty, and you're going to clean your car when you get to wherever you're at. I mean, it's just common sense. You don't want to leave all that crap all over your car, anyways. And it's a good reason to clean his car too, because he already made it home. He's not going to, just because he's committed four murders, I'm going to clean my car every 5 minutes down the road because my tag is getting covered. I may get pulled over. I mean, he was with his dad anyways. I don't think he was probably that worried about it. I mean, they were talking about some other murder when the first cop pulled him over the first time of the 2 times he got pulled over on the way back. And they were like, yeah, we're leaving from there. Did you hear about that triple murder over there? Didn't mention the stabbings. I think it was some gun murder or something. I don't know.
Previously told you about numerology. Some of you laughed. Some of you weren't so convinced. Some of you were just confused. How come Ann Taylor, Bryan Kohberger's defense attorney, wanted the trial date to start November 22nd?
Your Honor, we'd ask the court to set this trial at the very outside of the speedy trial, right? We're not prepared to do anything to ask the court to do that today.
Okay. Counted out, and that would be.
I have not counted it out, Your Honor, but I believe that we did out November 22nd since on the speedy trial.
Check the date.
Yeah, so they wanted 11/22 King Road. Yeah, I mean, you knew that was going to come out at some point. Some numerology, some conspiracy. Anyways. And now that I heard that they're trying to get a pause on it altogether because he may come up with an alibi, like a formal alibi that it's like another obscure thing that you could do as a defendant. So I think he's just going to pull out all the stops and do all the different stuff that you're able to do that you just don't see, like standing silent, and then the judge automatically enters the not guilty plea. So, I mean, he's going to pull out all the stops, all the little quirky things. So,
November, that's 1-1. The 22nd, that's 2-2. 1122. That's where the crime took place. 1122 King Road. Some of you might even call it 1122 Queen Road. Anyways, the defense team wants the trial to start November 22nd, 2023. That's exactly 1 day after Bryan Kohberger's birthday, for those of you that didn't know. His birthday is 1
I don't know. I don't know why he said that about Queen Road. That was weird. I don't get the symbolism of that. Am I lost here? Yeah, no, I mean, I know with my car, I love keeping it clean. And, if it gets a little bit dirty, I'm like, ah, man, I got to go, vacuum it or whatever. So, uh, does anybody want to come up, talk some shit with me about this guy? There's another video I'm going to play after this. Same dude where he goes a little bit more about this.
On 121. Yeah, I've recorded and released 10 videos on Bryan Kohberger's guilt. Those videos have been based on me believing the folks in Idaho and Washington were on the up and up. But as I continue to research, I've been starting to wonder, is Bryan Kohberger actually innocent?
So, yeah, he's already released 10 videos or more about him being guilty. And now, all of a sudden, he's releasing videos how he thinks he's innocent. So, I mean, I guess that's good. You're seeing both sides, and he's like looking at it a little bit more or something. I don't know. Or he's just like, hey, no one really cares that he's guilty. Everybody's on, hey, he's innocent now. So I'm going to jump on that bandwagon, is what I gathered. But I could be wrong. Just my opinion, allegedly. Fair use, all that crap.
Innocent people are arrested all the time. Kathleen Zellner has single-handedly had 23 innocent, wrongfully convicted men released from prison. The Innocence Project exists all over the United States, saving wrongfully convicted, actually innocent prisoners from lengthy prison sentences all the time. So it's not exactly uncommon to be falsely arrested and accused of a crime. Alternatively, people go through trial all the time, and although most people are convicted, there's been plenty of times the jury comes back and says, not guilty. Now let's very briefly discuss Ann Taylor. That's
Oh yeah, then you guys are gonna love. You guys are gonna love this about Ann Taylor. I just I don't know what to say. This is odd. He yeah, you just have to hear it.
Bryan Kohberger's defense attorney. Have you noticed their chemistry in the courtroom? She seems to sit awfully close to him, and they smile at each other every chance they get.
Freedom. Freedom is why I love doing apartment deals, just like the one you're seeing on the screen now.
Do you think she has a crush on Bryan, or is she just being nice?
I mean, seriously, like who? How? I mean, seriously, who the fuck asked that? Like, of course, she's gonna be nice to him. It's her freaking defendant, She's defending him. Oh my god, this guy. Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. It yeah, it's crazy, man. He's like talking, and then he goes. I believe he talks about Casey Anthony and Jose Baez or whatever his name was, like saying it's like the same thing. Like, oh man, like they're in the room alone together, and he's banging her out or something. It's freaking odd, dude. Anyways, here we go.
I sure would like to be a fly on the wall for their private conversations behind closed doors. That's right, attorneys and defendants get private conversation time, where nobody's allowed to listen or watch. People long speculated about Casey Anthony and Jose Baez, but I'm getting off track, so let's jump right back on track.
Let me insinuate this, and then no. We'll get back on track here. Oh my gosh, yeah, that was a big rumor back then that they had a little affair going on. Because I live in Florida, so it was a big deal here. And I mean, it was a big deal everywhere, but they talked about it a lot, and they even afterwards there was rumors that they had a little relationship for a little while after the fact. She like paid him off a little bit, if you know what I mean. That was the rumor. Anyways, back to this.
As you can see in this recent court footage, Bryan Kohberger is wearing a suit and he looks awfully sharp. He may even have gel in his hair. He looks confident, composed. He looks like a man that knows the outcome of this case before.
Yeah, so since he has a suit now, he's on his orange jumpsuit anymore. He has the actual suit on, a little gel in his hair. Probably feeling a little bit better than sitting there in shackles, and it didn't look like he had shackles on either. So I mean, of course, he's going to be a little bit happier. He's going to feel a little bit better about himself in the situation. I didn't draw too much into that, but you know, he knows the outcome of the case. That's why he's so confident. That's why he looks so good now. You know, because he knows he's going to walk away free.
Any of us do. He may actually be innocent. He may be looking forward to being exonerated. He may know a little secret about this case that nobody else does. He may know that he's going home within the next 6 months because maybe he didn't actually do it. Why is he so smiley in the courtroom? Specifically only for his attorney. He won't look us in the eye through the camera lens. And him and his attorney do not want cameras in the courtroom because they know that we speculate way too much on the internet and we often get it wrong. Apparently they need some more time for Bryan to figure out his alibi. And that's
Yeah, so they just need a little bit more time to figure out his alibi. You know, we gotta make sure we come up with a really good one. Of course, you know.
That's just fine and dandy. We'll give him all the time he needs because it's super important to have a really good alibi when you're accused of a quadruple passing. He may be just as confused as all of us, but he seems to be in good spirits. We haven't seen any more shaving cuts on his face. So I guess he's adapting to the tools that he's been given quite well. And I probably wouldn't want any cameras in the courtroom dissecting my every blink, if I blinked, my every facial expression. It's me smiling at my attorney.
Oh yeah, so he admitted he don't blink. Yeah, no, because he does these little clips, like I was saying before. He does like 10-second clips at the most, so he doesn't blink. I don't know. It looks like he might have his like eyebrows like glued up underneath that little mask prosthetic thing he has on top of his forehead too, or whatever the hell he has going on.
If I smiled. I just wouldn't want that. That would make me a little extra uncomfortable in front of the jury. Are they going to allow cameras in the courtroom? Absolutely. The state is enjoying this media circus. That's why Moscow PD did so many press conferences, even though they didn't really have much to say, except...
Oh yeah, so then now he at the end of this, I believe he goes in, either this one or the next one. I believe it's now. He goes in and says basically that they're doing it for money. They're gonna ask for more money in this whole money thing. How the prosecution's asking for $130-something thousand, and it's $100,000 more they've ever had to try a case, and that once they ask for money, they're gonna ask for more money, and blah blah blah.
incorrect information. Even the prosecutor did a bunch of interviews, but didn't really have much to say. They all seem to love the media, and I'm the media, so you can assume they love me too. They wanted a circus, they've got one. Thank you so much for watching this special episode, ladies and gentlemen. I told you to stay tuned until the end for some bonus booms, so here's the bonus booms. I appreciate you. I'm so glad you watched this episode. If you demand it, I'll make another video on Bryan Kohberger. If you want me to do similar style format on other cases,
All right, so that was the end of that video. Like I said, he has another video that I'm going to show, and he kind of goes into a little bit more of his conspiracy theories and stuff and crap like that. Give me 1 second.
There's nothing more powerful than you making your thing happen, doing business on your terms.
All right, this is the second video. Like I said, he goes a little bit more in depth. It's like the same thing though. Yeah, we'll see.
in this super special episode, we're going to discuss Dylan Morganson, Jack Decor, in Bryan Kohberger's possible innocence. There's going to be a lot of booms. You're going to need to stay focused and listen to the words I say.
Yeah, he says a lot of booms like he did last one, but he doesn't say boom a lot in this one. I don't know what's going on. He's at the beginning, there's supposed to be a lot of booms, like the last video. I mean, he must have said boom 12 times. This video, it's right at the beginning. He doesn't say boom too often, so I don't know what's up with that. But here we go for some booms.
This is going to be a very educational episode, and I believe you're going to learn quite a few things during this presentation. Without further ado, let's jump right into this episode and see what I have to say for myself this time. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Crime Circus. My name is Drip Drop, and I'll be your host as always. In this video, you might actually learn a thing or two about Moscow, Idaho, and the case against Bryan Kohberger. 4 college students were brutally slain just outside of the University of Idaho on November 13th, 2022, possibly just after 3 a.m. I think there's good reason to believe that the original timeline that we were told between 3 and 4 a.m. was actually correct.
Yeah, so he goes into a little bit more of how he believes that the information they gave at the beginning around, my dog's growling, between 3 and 4, that that was the actual time of the murders. He shows a little evidence with the body cam. He talks about how the FBI was investigating the fire hydrant area, which was the next street over from where Bryan lived at. So you'll see.
Let's check out this body footage for a refresher here. This footage right here is from approximately 3:12 a.m. on November 13th.
All right. Oh yeah, so he's actually showing with that little arrow showing there's like a light back there, and you see 3 to 4 little heads go by, and right before that you hear like a scream or like a yell or something, and then those 3 to 4 people run by. So that's what he's saying, and that's what he's basically stating that, hey, you know, the crime might have happened at that time, and he goes into this whole theory where Bryan is the DoorDash driver, and that's like a big theme this whole video.
Did you see what I just saw, ladies and gentlemen? Let's take another look and slow it down. There appears to be a scream, and these unknown individuals are running from the direction of the 1122 crime scene. That's important. This is really important, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, the police didn't even notice those individuals in this body camera video. We, the people, did because we're very observant.
Yeah, so that I'm sure y'all remember that when they found that and they sent it in. They're like, oh man, the body cam footage, you know, people are running from there. But I mean, sure, it made a lot of sense at the time when they were thinking that the crimes happened around 3 to 4. But you know, later on in the timeline, when they figured out, you know, they had a different timeline. When it happened later on, it just really doesn't matter at that point. I think that, you know, you find out a lot more information with the autopsies and other things like that. You know, just the crime scene. You start piecing everybody together. I mean, there's 4 separate people involved, and then you had the 2 roommates that nothing happened to them. So you had their timeline too. So there's a lot of timelines that are involved, and it takes a little bit of time to kind of figure them all out. But anyways, here we go.
I don't think this seems to be much of a coincidence that random individuals are running from that house, at the same time that the police seem to be right outside of the house, 1 street over, at the exact location that the FBI profilers were looking at the fire hydrant. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a real investigation show where we really investigate things. No clickbait needed here at Crime Circus. Other YouTubers and creators, take note. Always keep it factual, keep it real, and never lie to your audience. I would never lie to my viewers here at Crime Circus because the truth is important. The family.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is important. Yeah. I don't know if this is the truth, but the truth is important.
Families deserve the truth, and that's what we're on the search for here at Crime Circus. The truth for those 4 beautiful souls that are no longer with us. And Bryan Kohberger and Bryan Kohberger's family also deserve the truth, one way or the other. Anyways, the timeline. Later on, we were told that the crime took place between 4 and 4:25 a.m. Why did the time change? Let's go back to my theory about Bryan Kohberger being the DoorDash driver. I still think Bryan Kohberger was the...
I mean, if he wasn't the DoorDash driver for that night, I mean, it's a great theory if he was the DoorDash driver. I mean, I don't think it really makes a whole lot of sense, especially with him being a criminology major and stuff. I mean, the excuse that Drip Drop gives, I don't buy it. I would definitely, I mean, that would have been ideal for him. He would have been there, called the cops and said, "Hey, look, man, I'm DoorDash. There's some dead people here," or whatever the case may be, or, something crazy happened here. Um, I don't see him just taking off and being scared. I think he would probably want to get involved in it. It's right down his alley. Hey, Grandma Sherry, you didn't miss nothing. I pushed it back. I was listening to Queen, her little live going on before I went live, so I just pushed it back till 2. Yeah, I haven't missed much. Just drip drop, talking some crap. All right, here we go. The whole DoorDash scenario, I guess you could say.
DoorDash driver. Nothing's changed. Some people have told me I was wrong. I have not been proven wrong about Bryan Kohberger being the DoorDash driver. Anonymous sources cannot be trusted as fact. Random YouTubers making claims cannot be taken as fact. Unless it's in court documents or police reports, it's not factual.
Yeah, so he explains how nothing's factual because it's not, it's just hearsay, anonymous sources, blah, 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 blah. Then he's like, "I'm all about truth here, and I'll let you know if it's a theory or not." And then he's like, "Okay, here's my theory." So it's like, I don't know. It was just funny to me. Oh, yeah. Who is Lana? Is that, what is, I think I watched some of her stuff too about this. What's her channel? Truth and Transparency, I think. Is that Lana? Am I right? I don't know. I thought that's who everyone was talking about. But yeah, no, she had some pretty wild theories too. I watched a little bit of her stuff today. Oh, that is her, yeah. All right, here we go. I mean, this actually it really makes sense. I mean, just think if he maybe he wasn't the DoorDash driver for that, but if he was a DoorDash driver or Uber Eats driver or something like that, that would explain why his phone was all over the place, pinging all around there. I mean, he was delivering food all around there. I mean, that would make sense to me. It'd be a great alibi for him, if he was a DoorDash driver or something like that. Maybe not the actual one that came to the house and delivered that to Xana. But yeah. Anyways, and also when he goes into this theory about this DoorDash driver, Bryan being the DoorDash driver, it kind of doesn't make too much sense, just because, like I said before about, if he really knew there was a crime going on, he would probably like not get involved, but definitely call the police and let them know about it. I would think, just from his background and everything. And then he also made it seem like, oh yeah, he's just gonna roll in. How did the DoorDash bag end up in the kitchen behind the sink, wherever it was, when it, at the end, after it all happened, it ended up in the sink over there in the corner, not in the corner, but it looked like it was behind a couple things where it wouldn't just be placed by a random DoorDash driver. It's like, oh, what the hell's going on here? I'm out of here. I'm just going to drop this bag perfectly in the back of the sink. I don't know. Anyways, here we go.
I'll tell you the factual information right here and right now. And if it's a theory, I'll tell you it's a theory. It's a theory that Bryan Kohberger is the DoorDash driver because it makes perfect sense, and that he became a patsy. And it makes perfect sense because Bryan Kohberger was possibly delivering Jack in the Box in the early morning hours. He got there, the door was wide open. He went in. He possibly saw a BLOODY mess, and the red substance was all over the place. There was so much red substance that it was even leaking through the floor and the wall to the outside of the building. In the arrest affidavit, Dylan Mortensen reported hearing an unknown man say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Like I said previously, that was most likely the DoorDash driver, aka Bryan Kohberger, walking in through an open door. He saw the mess. He quite possibly saw Xana laying on the floor injured and clinging on to the last breaths of her life, from when she was stabbed and injured at approximately 3:12 a.m.
Yeah, so he's going back to the body cam footage where there was a yell heard and then the people ran out of the house. And then the DoorDash driver, but from what I understood, the DoorDash driver, I mean, dang, so she held on. He's basically saying she was stabbed about 3:15, 3:12, or whatever, and that she made it all the way to right before 4 o'clock when the DoorDash driver supposedly came and dropped off the DoorDash. And when did she order the food? I mean, did she order it a couple of hours? I mean, I know it takes like maybe a couple hours sometimes, but to get the food, but I don't know. That's kind of weird. We don't know all that information, so we can't really say 100% or not even 50% when she got the food, when she ordered, and all that stuff. I feel like it's such an odd thing to keep from the public that he was the DoorDash driver that went to the home. That would be pretty solid evidence that it was more than likely him. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that would definitely place him there at the time of the murders, or there about the time of the murders. Especially initially, if they thought that it happened between 3 and 4, the DoorDash driver got there right before 4, from what I remember them saying. So, like at the initial thing, he would have been included in their little time frame when it could have happened. So, yeah, they definitely would have said that. So I don't know. It is strange. And it would be, like I said, it'd be a great alibi for him too. I mean, I guess it'd be like, that's why my car was there. I got scared. I walked in there, and that's gonna be his alibi. He was the DoorDash driver, and I walked in there. I was like, what the hell's going on here? You know, it's a bloody mess. The door was open, and I was like, hey, I got your DoorDash, blah blah blah. But I don't know, like, I don't order DoorDash and stuff like that, but I see a lot of my neighbors do and stuff, and they basically just drop it off at the front door, just like Amazon. I don't know if they take a picture of it or what, but it's like they ring the doorbell, knock on the door, and leave it sitting there. Um, so for him to walk, I'm gonna walk in, and unless there was like special instructions, if they do that for DoorDash, I really don't know. But here we go. Let's listen to the rest of his theory here. How he's the DoorDash driver.
This would have been about 48 minutes later after the crime, allegedly, if you believe Bryan Kohberger was ever there in the first place. Bryan Kohberger could have heard Dylan Mortensen's door creak and crack and make a noise when it opened. He stepped out of Xana's room.
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce.
And saw an eyeball peeking out through the room. He was probably scared. Dylan Mortensen is a very tall woman, and she can possibly.
Yeah, okay. This is a hilarious part, man. He's like saying that Dylan's such a big girl that Bryan probably was scared when he saw her, or the DoorDash person was like, oh my God, look at this big lady and all this blood everywhere. I got to get out of here. And then, I don't know, he's just weird. And then he's like, he talks about alpha men and how Bryan's not an alpha man and he's an, I don't know, man. It's just strange as hell, man. It's like, I really think I feel like he thinks that Dylan's in on this with Jack, the ex-boyfriend, because he goes in on him too. There we go.
Be intimidating to some men. Not every man is an alpha. There's betas among us. And we're not all heroes. Not everybody could have stuck around to try to save lives. Not everybody would have called 911 right then and there on the spot. You, watching this video right now. Don't be arrogant. You're not necessarily going to be a hero in that situation. You probably would have ran out the back door just like Bryan Kohberger might have done.
Yeah, I mean, how's he going to go in? He's not going to run out the back door. If he went to the house and he entered the front door, if it was wide open, like they were saying, you know, early in the morning it was even wide open. So say it was wide open. He's not going to walk through there, go up a set of stairs into the second floor, because that's how you go out the back door, the sliding glass door. It was actually on the second floor if you went in the front door. So I mean, that's a lot of crap to do. And then to go up the stairs and then to see her peeking out the door, it's just strange. I just don't understand this theory.
Bryan was in college studying criminals and law. He knew if he had called 911, the crime would have been pinned on him. And he certainly didn't want that, just like none of us would have.
Yeah, I don't understand how it would depend on him. If he does study law. He knows that he had nothing to do with it. He walked in there. He didn't even know what had happened. So why would he think, oh, it's going to get pinned on me? There's no way in hell he thought that. I mean, it's just bizarre theory, honestly, at this point. If he's using this DoorDash, I mean, if he's a DoorDasher or that DoorDasher that night, that's great. That might help him. But the way he's thinking about how it's going to help him be the DoorDash driver and what he would have done is just odd.
I probably would have ran as well because I wouldn't be sticking around for the police to arrest me. I would have bolted out the back door, jumped in the white Hyundai, and flew around that corner hopping the curb. Okay, so Bryan was there and he saw at least one, probably two of the victims, and he didn't call 911. Well, Dylan was there too, and she also didn't call 911.
Yeah, so like he's basically throwing Dylan under the bus, and everyone has for not calling 911 right away. If she was out there, she opened her door 3 different times or whatever the case was about that, and then she was in shock or she just locked her door and went back to sleep. I gave the story a while ago. It wasn't about this. It's really not too much like this, but it was just something that happened to me, and I just thought it was interesting. It had a lot to do with like trauma or shock, really. So basically, I was 14 and I had a scooter, and I played basketball. So after school, I went to play basketball, and I had a friend. I had bought this scooter from his older stepbrother. So me and my friend went and played basketball. Well, we got done playing basketball. We were actually playing at another middle school or something, and he's like, "Hey, let me drive the scooter." And I'm like, "Ah, no, man." He's like, "Oh, it's my stepbrother. I know how to drive." I'm like, "Are you sure?" Blah blah blah. So he gets on it, and goes straight, wrecks right into the building. And he didn't get really hurt, but he bent the front forks of my scooter. So like, I had to drive home. Luckily, it was still drivable, but I was like had to turn the forks a little bit to go straight and stuff. It was a big pain in the ass. Anyway, so we drove home. I drove him home. I went home. I took the scooter. I put it in the back porch, and I went. And I just went to bed because I was just so distraught, basically, on the whole thing. Well, I woke up the next day and I was like, man, I had the craziest dream. My best friend wrecked my scooter. And I swear I thought it was a dream because I was kind of like in shock. I couldn't believe it happened. And I went out, and that was the first thing I did. I'd go out, and I swear I thought it was a dream. Go to the back porch, and there's my scooter wrecked. And I'm like, dang, it wasn't a dream. It actually happened. I'm not saying that's what happened to her, but, I mean, it is possible that, it's just like a traumatizing event. And I mean, I was 14 at the time, so it's a little bit different, but there could be some alcohol or other things involved in that. But yeah, I ended up falling asleep and thought it was a dream, and it really wasn't a dream. So I mean, I'm just saying that it's possible. She was a giant, and he got scared after committing the crime he did. Okay, yeah, no, for sure. The good Allison. Yeah, for sure, man. Like his whole theory on this is kind of weird, to say the least. But yeah, it's like, oh, she's a big woman, and he's not an alpha, and then like some men and the little Western whistle there. It was strange. Anyways, here we go.
And in the arrest affidavit, this is what it says Dylan experienced in the house that night. Dylan Mortensen stated she opened her door for the third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. Dylan Mortensen described the figure as 5 foot 10 inches or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past Dylan Mortensen as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. Dylan Mortensen locked herself in her room after seeing the male. Dylan Mortensen did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene.
Yeah, so he goes, I mean, like I said, I don't understand if he was the DoorDash driver, why he would go out the second floor sliding glass door. Um, doesn't make much sense. I don't see him running through the house. It's just not what DoorDash driver or I like I said, I don't really use them, so I don't know 100%. But I wouldn't think they'd be like opening front doors and walking in and all that stuff. So it's just strange.
Well, as you can see, there's a few red flags and alarms in these statements. This leads investigators to believe this is simply a belief of some men in uniforms. It doesn't say it proves that the murderer left the scene. It's their belief.
Yeah, I don't know what he's getting at with that whole thing. I mean, he's saying that the murderer was hiding out in Dylan's room at the time, or Dylan was the murderer, or what. I mean, I don't understand what he's saying here. Um, yeah. Anyways, or like the murderer stopped, heard the DoorDash driver. Brian came in. She opened the door for the third time, and he's like, "Oh crap!" He ran out. She got scared, locked her door, and then the murderer finished whatever he was doing. I don't know.
Dylan saw a male walk past her bedroom. Yeah, probably the DoorDash driver. He thought he could be a hero, but when it came down to it, he just couldn't be a hero, so he ran. So Dylan Mortensen was so terrified, she was in a shocked phase, she was frozen in fear, she locked herself.
I didn't catch that before. Yeah, so basically he's saying that Kohberger was going to be a hero, and that's why he got up to the second floor and saw the things. But then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh wait, no, some Amazon woman standing in the doorway. I'm out of here." Yeah. Okay.
In her room. She did everything except call 911. What did she have to hide? There's other people in this case that have a lot of questions I'd like to ask them. Jack DeCour really does need to answer some serious questions. Lately, everybody's been wondering, what's Bryan Kohberger's alibi? Why does he need more time to come up with an alibi? You don't even know Jack DeCour's alibi. Kaylee and Maddie called Jack DeCour many times right before they passed. In fact, if the original timeline is correct, of 3:12 a.m. being the time that these people passed away, the phone calls abruptly ended just prior to that. Why do you
Yeah, I think the last call was about what 308 or 309 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. So I mean, yeah, yeah, no, he's this guy is. I mean, I don't even think defense attorneys would use 95% of what this dude's saying. Yeah.
think Jack DeCour didn't or couldn't answer the phone during the time that he was being called? And why didn't he call them in the morning when he saw all of those missed calls, knowing that Kaylee was leaving town forever that very day with Murphy? That's right, Kaylee was moving to Texas with Murphy. And she was going to Europe as well. All of this was going to happen without Jack DeCour. As you can see,
Okay, I've watched this, but I don't remember what he says. If he says that Jack did it for custody of the dog, I'm gonna lose my shit. But I don't think he says that. But yeah, no, I mean, this guy. He,
see right here in the arrest affidavit against Bryan Kohberger, Jack DeCour was the ex-boyfriend. He was not the current boyfriend. They weren't engaged and they weren't married. He was an ex-boyfriend. And now he's all over social media with what was Kaylee's dog, Murphy. Are you still following along here?
yeah, Murphy is the cutest dog, though. Man, what a cute dog. Poor little guy. Yeah, no, for sure. Law enforcement believes the calls were made before, and I mean, even before the earlier time, what he's saying between 3 and 4. I mean, he's saying 3:12 or 3:15 or whatever, but the cops did say between 3 and 4. They thought at first, but they weren't sure. they were still investigating. They were still looking at all the evidence. They were pulling all the video, all the phone data, all tower pings and stuff. He gets into tower pings too, and about that evidence. We'll get to that in a minute.
Let's continue. Also in the arrest report, they talked about Bryan Kohberger's phone pinging approximately 12 times near the 1122 King Road residence. Well, I've got some news for you, ladies and gentlemen. They also say one of those doesn't count.
Oh yeah, so he goes over this thing where they talk about the phone pings and how it didn't ping around there because he shut off his phone or put it in airplane mode, and then the last ping, like the 14th ping or something, that day or whatever, was far away or like a little bit away. They're like, okay, that doesn't count, or no, that's what it was. He was actually in his apartment when that pinged off the same tower that they were saying, oh, look, it's showing that he's around the apartment at that time. But I just watched the Letitia Stock about Gannon's stock trial. And if I remember correctly, when they were talking about all the phone pings, and I mean, definitely it worked out better in that scenario because she traveled a longer distance. And with this being such a short distance, I mean, it's within like 10, 12 miles from his apartment to their place and the whole little where the tower is and stuff. But it worked out a little bit better. But I remember them saying that the experts for the phone pings and stuff, they said that every tower, it has like four sides that it directs the ping, so they can actually tell what side of the tower the ping was from in some cases, which I thought was pretty neat. And I don't know if that is true in this case too, or if that's actually something they could do, or if it was just because Letitia Stock had traveled such longer distances, where they were able to do that with the phone towers. So, anyways, from what I've read and seen, there are only two towers, and they cover a large radius, unlike bigger cities. Yeah, perfectly imperfect. That's what I thought too. I mean, it's such a small area. I mean, from one college to the other, it's like 7 miles or something. So, I mean, it's real. And he lived near the college over there at Washington State, and then the four lived over there right off of the campus of University of Idaho. So I mean, it's not that far of a drive or a distance. So and yeah, and I mean, I don't think that phone towers are that precise, but if they can tell what side of the tower it's pinging from and stuff like that, it does help a little bit. But yeah, in such a small area like that, I don't think it's really going to do a whole lot, and they can't really base a lot of their case on that like they did in the Letitia Stock case, where they definitely showed a pattern where she drove and came, and they kind of had it pinpointed a little bit better with that because it was a further distance that she went. I'm assuming. I don't know that to be fact, but here we go.
Say Bryan Kohberger's phone pinged on November 14th in Moscow, Idaho, near the residence, but they don't believe he was actually in town on that day. You can't have your cake and eat it too, MPD. Either the cell phone pings are accurate and can be relied on, or it's junk science. Don't tell us that you want to rely on them 11 times when it fits your narrative, but for the 12th ping, you say it doesn't count. These cell phone pings are junk science. You can be hanging out in Pullman, Washington all day and never leave your apartment, and your cell phone can ping in Moscow, Idaho.
I mean, that is true to a certain extent, I mean, it is true. Um, but who knows? I mean, if you're moving and then they talked about Wi-Fi and other stuff like that. So if you do have that on, your phone is catching that as it's going around. So maybe they could use that as well as other stuff. The phone pings, with GPS. Maybe he had a GPS, his phone, obviously, if he had a smartwatch or something like that. There's a lot of different stuff they could use, with the phone pings.
They also deceptively referred to the phone pinging near the residence. Newsflash, ladies and gentlemen, Moscow, Idaho probably has one phone tower, and it doesn't matter where you are. You can even be in Pullman, and your cell phone can ping off the same tower. So it's meaningless. In the arrest report, they also make reference to Bryan Kohberger's phone pinging on Farm Road back in August of 2022. Completely meaningless. If he was driving for DoorDash, it would make sense. It was the weekend. Many people drive for DoorDash on the weekend. It was about 11 p.m. And what do you know? There's a Buffalo Wild Wings right there on Farm Road. And as you can see on this map right here, Farm Road is nowhere near 1122 King Road that can be seen way over here. So why this is in the arrest affidavit, I have no idea. But clearly, they're grasping at straws, hoping something sticks.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically grasping at straws too, you know. If he's the DoorDash driver, which is my theory, is what he's saying, you know, then everything lines up. Yeah, no, it does make sense. Yeah, he would ping over there if he was doing DoorDash over there, delivering Buffalo Wild Wings to someone. But I mean, like, we don't know that to be fact either. I mean, that's the whole thing. We don't know him to be a DoorDash driver or not to be a DoorDash driver. So, I mean, we could sit here all day and do stuff like that and, you know, implement certain things. We'd like, you know, substitute DoorDash driver with an Uber Eats driver or a private driver that does it for kids around school so he can make a few bucks, you know, off the books. And just like the driver who drove them home probably did. Uh, anyway, I know I'm rambling.
If I was the judge and I read this arrest affidavit, I'd say, what's the point? His cell phone may have allegedly pinged back in August on Farm Road. So what? That's not even evidence. Those are just words on a piece of paper that apparently a judge signed off on. This isn't evidence of any kind. If you think it is, leave a comment down below. Bryan Kohberger's phone pinging on Farm Road way back in August. What do you think it means? It means nothing. Anyways, the knife sheath. Let's discuss it. In my previous video, I made a very small error. I said that Bryan Kohberger's daddy's DNA was found on the knife sheath. That was wrong. The official claim is that Bryan Kohberger's DNA was on the knife sheath, and they matched it to Bryan Kohberger's daddy's DNA from the trash that Bryan Kohberger threw out in his neighbor's garbage can.
Yeah, that was the correction I was talking about when he had initially said that about his dad's DNA being on the knife sheath. Yeah, that's where he corrected it. Anyways. I think he reiterates what he said earlier in the other video where it's they couldn't find it. The police couldn't find it, so they had to send it to another lab so that and then they miraculously found it or something.
I just saw, ladies and gentlemen, Dylan saw a male walk past her bedroom, engaged, and they weren't married. He was an ex-boyfriend, and now he's all over social media with Wet Wild Wings right there on Farm Road. And as you can see on this map right here, Farm Road is nowhere near. On the weekend, it was about 11 p.m. And what do you know? There's a Buffalo Wild Wings right there on Farm Road. And as you can see on this map right here, Farm Road is nowhere near 1122 King Road that can be seen way over here. So why this is in the arrest affidavit, I have no idea. But clearly, they're grasping at straws, hoping something sticks. If I was the judge and I read this arrest affidavit, I'd say, what's the point? His cell phone may have allegedly pinged back in August on Farm Road. So what? That's not even evidence. Those are just words on a piece of paper that apparently a judge signed off on. This isn't evidence of any kind.
All right, I hit the wrong button. All right, hit up above the pause and it skipped back in the video. So, all right, this is where we left off. Sorry about that.
If you think it is, leave a comment down below. Bryan Kohberger's phone pinging on Farm Road way back in August. What do you think it means? It means nothing. Anyways, the knife sheath. Let's discuss it. In my previous video, I made a very small error. I said that Bryan Kohberger's daddy's DNA was found on the knife sheath. That was wrong. The official claim is that Bryan Kohberger's DNA was on the knife sheath, and they matched it to Bryan Kohberger's daddy's DNA from the trash that Bryan Kohberger threw out in his neighbor's garbage can. Either way, it doesn't really matter, and it's pretty irrelevant, so that's a really small detail to nitpick.
Yeah, a little bit of DNA found on a knife sheath where 4 people were stabbed to death. It's just a small little thing, no big deal. We'll just skip over that. Yeah, I don't know.
Bryan Kohberger's DNA being on a knife sheath at the crime scene is meaningless. They didn't even find the knife sheath upon first search. Somehow it magically showed up the second time they went to go look at Maddie and Kaylee. And
Yeah, I mean, to say magically, I mean, you're implying that. I mean, we all know what you're implying. Excuse me. But, I mean, come on, dude, really? I just don't know about these people if they're serious about this or they're just talking shit or it hurts my head sometimes. Here we go.
There's been no discussion of there being any blood on the knife sheath either. So that's the magical knife sheath. And if you made it this far in the video, leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think about the magical knife sheath. I've mailed merch all over the world, so certainly my DNA is in a lot of people's houses that I've never been in. And briefly going back to the DoorDash theory, if Bryan Kohberger had randomly entered the house through an open door and he was scared and he just wanted to help, it would make sense that he brought protection with him. And if he
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah, so that's how it got there. He was door dashing, and he would just carry a big old K-bar knife with him for protection. And somehow 4 people got stabbed, and he left it there after the fact. I don't know. Anyways, it's just strange. Like, I don't understand. I just don't get his logic on here.
saw some really scary stuff, he might have dropped the sheath and ran. Or he could have been at a previous house party. Or he could have bought drugs at this alleged drug house. I know a lot of you out there want me to discuss the drug theory in Moscow, Idaho.
Oh yeah, no. I didn't even want to go down that rabbit hole. The whole drug cartel, drug theory, the drug hit. I mean, I started to watch some of that stuff, and it's just this gives me a headache. So I could just imagine what that would do to me. But yeah, I'm only showing this guy because it's Ellie's second favorite YouTuber ever. So I'm doing it for Ellie.
Idaho. There's a lot of drug use in Moscow, Idaho, ladies and gentlemen. 2 of the victims' parents were arrested right around the time of the crime for some serious felony drug charges. There's a lot of people in this case connected to some very dangerous people in the drug business. Drugs are bad, hugs are good. Stay off drugs, ladies and gentlemen, and keep your kids off them too. They lead to nothing but passing aways. A sober mind is one of the best things on earth. You can even learn to get high in life if you're doing the right things and spending your time properly around the right people. And we can very possibly discuss that in an upcoming episode. But make sure you subscribe to my second YouTube channel, The Crime Circus Cult. Let's get back on track. The knife sheath. There's a lot of ways that knife sheath could have ended up in that home, and
Yeah, so so there's a million ways the knife sheath could have ended up in the home, but he mentions one. But anyways, here we go.
a lot more ways Bryan Kohberger's DNA could have ended up on the knife sheath, including being planted. There's a lot of possibilities. The knife sheath alone is not a smoking gun. The knife sheath just by itself without any other collaborating evidence is actually more suspicious against others than against Mr. Kohberger. And just me thinking rationally out loud, I would think that Bryan Kohberger would be much more likely to have a K-bar knife than Bryan Kohberger, who is a student on the verge of doing so many great things in this life. Bryan Kohberger was military, which means he was a trained passing away person. Bryan Kohberger was not a trained passing away person. Anyways, evidence. If they had any smoking gun evidence, rest.
Yeah, he's all about that Brent guy. Yeah, hugs, not drugs. Now with this guy, you need drugs, man. Yeah. Come on now. Yeah, he's not the only one that is like. There's like a whole lot of people that are pissed off at the prosecutors, at the police. Like, it's pretty crazy. Like, they feel like he's being railroaded. And I don't know. I mean, the probable cause affidavit is a little weak, you know, but it's probable. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but I mean, it is a little weak, but not. I mean, I don't know, man. It seems like pretty good evidence, at least just at face value. I don't know. Anyways, here we.
Assured, it would have been put in the arrest affidavit. The arrest affidavit is where they put their best of the best information they have at the time. There was no talk about any of the victim's DNA, any of the victim's blood, or anything else. So we're supposed to believe that Bryan Kohberger was so intelligent that he didn't leave a single drop or a hair or anything other than the magical knife sheath, but none of the victims or anything made their way to his car, or the way to his car, or in his apartment.
Yeah, it's going to be a big hurdle for sure. They're going to have to find one of those 4 victims' DNA in his car, in his apartment, in his clothes, or something, or his DNA somewhere else besides on the night sheet. I mean, that's a big hurdle to jump. Yeah, no, that's true, Grandma Sherry. We haven't, but I knew they were gonna do that grand jury, and you would think that Bryan would have known that too, his lawyers and everything. Um, you knew they weren't gonna let that go to the preliminary because they would have been able to cross examine all the witnesses. So, and like you said, we don't know. I mean, they could have had Dylan there testifying, saying, "No, man, I'm 99% sure that's Bryan, that I saw that night," or we don't know what the hell she said to the cops or whatever, but definitely we know less than they know.
We're supposed to believe it was just magically wrapped up in his magical shower curtain and disappeared. But then he was dumb enough to return to the crime scene at 9 a.m. And then his cell phone pinged on the 14th, but we're not supposed to count that one. That one was just an error. There's a lot of issues with this case. Do you think Bryan Kohberger might actually just be innocent? Leave me a comment down below. Let's talk about this, because I haven't seen any evidence to convince me that Bryan Kohberger is actually guilty. I need evidence. Real.
I mean, that's a big statement. He hasn't seen any evidence. I mean, like like we were just saying, we haven't seen most of it probably. Um, but a lot of people are under the impression, which I'm not. I would think that you wouldn't throw your best stuff out there. You would try to hold something back that you had um when you were trying to get the arrest affidavit, or you're doing that for the arrest affidavit, drawing up the picture of what you think happened. I mean, you don't want to show all your cards right away, and until you get the guy in custody, at least, maybe he'll talk if you don't give him too much information. Um, so, anyways.
Evidence that matters. And what was in the arrest affidavit really wasn't much of anything, just a lot of beliefs and opinions. And in my opinion, Bryan Kohberger doesn't even have bushy eyebrows. I've seen YouTubers in the true crime community that actually have bushy eyebrows.
I thought that was pretty funny. And you don't think Bryan has bushy eyebrows, but some people in YouTube community, true crime, have bushy eyebrows. Wonder who he's talking about. Anybody know? Say it in chat.
Where were they on November 13th? I want to hear alibis. This case is important, and maybe together we can solve it. Also, Dylan Morgan says.
Yeah, if you know who he's talking about bushy eyebrows, he wants them to show alibis too. So whoever that is, we need to have your alibi for that night in question, or that early morning question.
Said the person had an athletic build. If she thinks Bryan Kohberger has an athletic build, then she'd probably say I was completely jacked.
Yeah, not a great analogy there, buddy. But yeah, I see what you're saying. But I mean, I can see that. No, it's actually not a bad description of him. I mean, he's athletic built, meaning he's not overweight and he's not too skinny, but he's not muscular, which is what it was that she said. I thought that was a good description. And I don't know if he cut his eyebrows or what, but he did have bushy ass eyebrows. I thought at the beginning when he first got arrested, and then afterwards they're not so bushy now. I wonder if that's on purpose.
But I guess that's up for interpretation and personal opinion. Money. Like most things in life, it comes back to money. This open unsolved case was going to cost Moscow, Idaho, and the University of Idaho a lot of money. This case needed to be solved. They needed the.
Oh yeah, so this is his other theory, where Bryan's just a patsy, And I mean, I guess he could still be the DoorDash driver in this theory too, but he's the patsy because the university was going to lose a lot of money. They're like the mainstay, the main thing in that town, really. So they couldn't have kids not coming back there, learning, doing it online and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it does make a little bit of sense, but come on, dude, they're not gonna pin it on some innocent dude, um, just for that. I mean, didn't it take like a good 2 months before they got him, anyways, or arrested him? So, I mean, they were in that big of a hurry. They would have found the dude. They would have found a bum patsy like the next day, dude, that weekend or whatever, that next week. So here we go.
Perfect patsy, and they may have found him. But he's smiling in court, so he sees no secret that's going to save him from this case. Because if you truly think you're going to prison for the rest of your life, I doubt you're going to be smiling in court unless you're legally insane. And if that's the case, I guess his mind needs rehabilitation in a medical facility. However, back to the money. The prosecution wants more money. Apparently, they typically spend about $15,000 per passing away case, but now they want over $135,000 just to prosecute Bryan. Why do they need so much money? And that's just the first installment. Once you give somebody money and they know you're good for it, they're going to come back to you with their hand open wanting more.
Yeah, so this is his other theory where the prosecution wants money. I mean, they're definitely asking for more money, but I mean, they're probably going to have to bring in some expert witnesses, some other people. So, I mean, it makes sense that they're going to spend a little bit more money. It's going to be interesting to see if they do ask for more money, like he implies here. Once you give them some money, they're just going to want more and more and more. So, let's see.
More money. That's what beggars do. They never just ask you one time. That's why you can never give anybody something when they ask in the first place. Because at that point, you become their own personal money tree. Some of you out there know that's true. Others, you're going to have to learn the hard way. $135,000 for starters. That number's going to keep going up as this gets dragged out. Why do they need so much money? If they have actual, real, believable evidence, they shouldn't need any more money than any other citizen that's ever been arrested for passing ways. Bryan.
Yeah, I mean, that it makes a little bit of sense, but not really, because you got to figure. I mean, they're having to house them there. I don't know if the court pays for that or whatever, but they have to pay for extra security, and there's a lot of extra stuff going on with such a high profile case. Um, so I mean, I could see the extra money. I don't understand. Like I said, if it becomes a obsessive where they want more and more and more, and they're like, we're gonna need more or whatever, then maybe they might ought to start worrying over there in Moscow. But it doesn't seem like it's too excessive for what it is right now, to me anyway.
Kohberger is not some super intelligent 200 IQ millionaire with a dream team of lawyers. He's got public defenders. So why does the prosecution need hundreds of thousands of dollars to battle some public defenders? That's not a green flag. That's a red.
Yeah, then he like takes a shot at the public defenders. Like, yeah, I guess it's two women. He takes a little like shot at the women. Like, I think he has a problem with women because he said something about the alpha man earlier, and like he took a shot at women then too. I don't know. It's weird. Anyways.
Red flag. The money. What evidence? They really shouldn't be focused on money. They should be wondering, what evidence do we even have against this guy? They probably know there's not much. There's been discussions of over 50 terabytes of data. Meaningless. What is that data? They certainly haven't said, and it wasn't in the arrest affidavit. They'll probably end up getting the money from the taxpayers. A few months will go by, and then they'll need even more money. Apparently, Santa Claus might just be in over his head against these female public pretenders.
Yeah, there he goes. Female public pretenders. I'm like, what, dude? I'm like, really? Like, I mean, was that a shot at like his public defender? So public pretenders. I don't know. Seemed like it was shot at the defense attorneys. I wonder if they get some of that money.
Also, very briefly, to touch on the topic of anonymous sources, once again, because a lot of you in my comments have fallen victim to anonymous sources, let's discuss it one more time. Anonymous sources cannot be trusted. That's not a legitimate source of information. Some of you are convinced that Bryan Kohberger's sisters knew he did this. According to who? Bryan Kohberger's sisters have not made statements on Bryan. That's an anonymous source and most likely a lie. Some of you out there are convinced that Bryan Kohberger bought a K-bar knife off of Amazon 1 month before the passing. Fake news. According to who, ladies and gentlemen? It's not in the court record. It's not in any police reports. It's an anonymous source that was spoken of on a tabloid program. I keep it factual here at Crime Circus. A lot of other true crime shows and networks, they want your clicks, they want your money, they want your time and attention. I respect you too much to lie to you. So, moving on. Also, a couple of you left comments saying that just based on him dumping trash in his neighbor's trash can, that he's guilty. Honestly.
Yeah, so he goes over a couple little questions or like people are talking shit about, oh, he's guilty because of this or this or this, and he kind of debunks or thinks he debunks or just says his opinion against these couple things.
I see some of my neighbors dumping trash in other people's yards quite frequently. What do you think they're trying to hide? It's suspicious, certainly. But a lot of trash companies actually have a limit of 2 or 3 bags per trash day, and people pile up trash fast. And sometimes there might be rotting meat that smells and will attract wild animals. And as rude as it is, they put it in the neighbor's yard because they don't want it in theirs. As for wearing latex gloves, okay, he's probably a germ freak. Trash can be very nasty, and he probably didn't want it touching his skin. No big deal, really. He could be the biggest weirdo in the world. He could even go to sleep with latex gloves on if he wants to. That doesn't mean he committed this crime. In real
Yeah, the whole glove thing. I mean, if he was like cleaning up and taking out his trash, I mean, it wouldn't be that big a deal to wear gloves. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't do it every time, but if I was cleaning up something messy or something, I'd be like, yeah, I'd throw on a glove or two, clean it up, and then that way you don't have to worry about nothing. Just take them off and throw it away with the rest of the crap. You're done. But
really, it's none of our business what he wants to put on his hands or anywhere else on his body either. I've got a lot of questions, thoughts, concerns, and ideas to discuss about Jack Decor, Dylan Morrison, and so much more. But that's going to have to wait for sometime in the near future because this video is just about over. In closing, Bryan Kohberger is presumed innocent. Let me know your thoughts down below. This is an open discussion. I don't know one way or the other. Is Bryan guilty or not guilty? You decide. Best viewers and supporters in the world. If you want to support me, consider.
yeah, so that was Drip Drop from Crime Circus. His little 2-part series how Bryan Kohberger is innocent or could be innocent. And there was a few other ones that I saw. They were talking about it. He was the most entertaining one that kind of said what everyone else was thinking, where either he was getting railroaded by the cops because the school needed to close, get the case out of there. So there wasn't a murder on the loose. Murderer. So I don't know. Wow, he needs to go look at her record. She's a good lawyer. Yeah, no, that's what they say. I mean, she's death penalty certified, all that stuff. Um, so yeah, he definitely was tied. Like there's a couple spots in that one, the other video where he just like I don't know, talked down about women a little bit, or just said something about a little weird about a woman. I don't know, it's weird. But whatever. To each their own. So, did anybody want to come up? Shoot the fat. Talk about it. What's your thoughts on Bryan? Is he guilty? Is he not guilty? What do you think? Think that they got a decent amount of evidence? Or they got an ace in the hole they're not sharing yet? Or we can watch another video about something. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm curious about what they found in the car too. Yeah, I mean, man, it's so weird. I did have the list of Let's see. I had the list of what they collected from his parents' house. Let me see if I can bring it up. Yeah, did they say what they got out of the car? I have to look that up. Let's see if I can share this. What the heck? Hang on, technical difficulties. 1 second. All right. Yeah, this is what they took from his house. So one something silver. I don't even know what the hell that is. 4 medical style gloves. White Arizona Jean Company large T-shirt. Champion Washington State University Cougar large black sweater. Can't even read this freaking writing. Pair of something size 13 Nike. Pair of Under Armour socks. Under Armour large shorts. Under Armour boxers. A buckle swab. Huh. So weird, man. Yeah, black large shorts, black boxer, something. Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, he was supposedly dressed in all black with a black mask from the description they said. So, but I mean, unless he was wearing the Arizona T-shirt, but it's a white T-shirt, so I don't know. But it is a black sweatshirt. But dang, that's like kind of silly if you wore a Washington State sweatshirt. All right, let's see. I got another video. Hang on. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask. So, do you think he has bushy eyebrows, or what? Type of one. If you think he has bushy eyebrows. All right, so this is Jewels of All Trades, True Crime or something. Jewels of All Trades, True Crime. She has like 17,000 subscribers. But she has a thing. The title of this video is What the Real True Crime Community's Intentions Are in the Idaho 4 Case. Attention versus intention. So she's going to set it all straight for everybody. This is true crime community, not the fake one. So let's see what she has to say. His eyes freak you out? Yeah, no, I mean, he does look scarier. Like every picture is like different though, isn't it? At least to me, he like, especially even in video, he looks a little different. It's weird. But yeah, no, his eyes look kind of like just dead. What's weird is I had a friend, my best friend in high school, and right outside of high school, his name is Bryan, and he looks just like this dude. Ah, it's kind of scary. Same build and everything. It's pretty odd when I look at this guy and him being named Bryan too. I was just like, holy crap! But it is not my old best friend. Anyways, here we go. Let's watch this video. She's gonna set us all straight. Let me get this off the damn. Oh. All right, hang on. 1 second. All right, here we go. Jewels of All Trades, True Crime. Kind of like what this other guy was saying. She says a little bit different. She don't care. There's another group. I forget who it was. I gotta find the clip. I should have had it ready. My bad. But they're kind of talking the same thing. Right? At this point, we don't care who did it. We just want to make sure that the right person is prosecuted and goes to jail for it. But they're questioning everything about Bryan Kohberger, like everything that like he's innocent. It's weird. Anyways, here we go. Oh yeah, this is fair use. I'm just kind of showing this and commentating on it. Don't strike me. All that shit. Fair use. Allegedly, my opinion.
Doing this need to just stay off of the internet because their brains obviously just can't compute complexity. And I feel like people that don't understand the reason why we're doing this need to just stay off of the internet because their brains obviously just can't compute complexity, because here is where people with brains actually come out and have conversations. And on TV is where people without brains are told what to say.
Yeah, I don't know why she's comparing YouTube to TV and why she's taking a shot at TV people. I don't know. I guess she has a feud with some TV person. I don't know. Or something like that. Anyways, here we go.
Some people should just stay over there. Now, when we're sitting here trying to poke holes in a PCA, we're not trying to. They're already there. We're just calling them out. And the biggest issue with this is that this isn't just somebody who killed one person and we're trying to figure it out. Okay. This is somebody who they have yet to show us a connection to 4 different victims.
All right. So that's like the biggest problem with true crime. Everybody's mad because they don't have all the evidence. the police just don't run out and say, "This is everything. We have it all wrapped up in a little pretty bow right here for you. Take a look at it before we do anything else. We want everyone to see it." I mean, come on. It just, yeah. Anyways, here we go.
4 different victims. This person that did this, whether it be Bryan or not, is the definition of a psychopath. I don't care about this incel BS. I don't care about any other verbiage going around. The basis of this is that whoever did this is a dangerous, violent, selfish psychopath. And
I mean, that's true, right? I mean, yeah. So here we go. And yeah, I mean, they're just, I mean, they want the truth, is what they're saying, no matter what it is. But like, I don't know. I just feel like they're being really condescending and like kind of just giving them too much shit, not letting the investigation, the case, the proceedings, you know, proceed like they should, like they do every other time. It just goes back to where these people feel like either they know what happened, they know, or they figured it out, or they can't wait to figure it out, or to have them tell them what actually happened. So they're just like assuming so much shit. But here we go.
do not belong among us, and they definitely do not deserve to be breathing oxygen. The problem is that with everything that we are seeing being done incorrectly in this case, and yes, regardless of what anyone tries to act like, we aren't sitting here having so many discussions constantly because we're imagining the things that we are seeing.
All right, yeah. So this is where she goes on other people's channels or panels and stuff like that too, or chats, and talks about the shit. But so there's a whole bunch of them that are just like not believing any of this shit, and just basically picking apart all the prosecution, all the stuff they have, basically the PCA and the arrest affidavit and stuff. So here we go.
We are showing the issues to you in black and white, straight from law enforcement body cam, straight from law enforcement documentation connected to the case. We're not pulling things directly off of social media and just going off with it completely without there being some sort of correlation to official documents, official things happening in the case. We do not want a psychopath to be let loose on the streets because of a botched investigation.
Yeah, so that's another thing too. I mean, fucking Bullhorn Betty does this shit too. It's like they feel they know everything better than the actual officials that are doing this, which kind of blows my mind. I hate when people do this. Sure, you could sit back and second guess some stuff, and be like, yeah, I don't know if that's a great idea, just from past experience or past knowledge that you may have. But come on, dude, to like totally just be like they're dropping the ball every 5 seconds. It's just freaking ridiculous. I mean, come on now. They're they're not dumb. I mean, let's hope not. But here we go. See what else she has to say.
Because of a technicality. But we also do not want an innocent man facing the firing squad. And any of the families should feel the exact same way. Justice is not justice unless it is just.
Yeah. So now we're telling the families how they should feel and what they should feel and when they should feel it. Makes a lot of sense to me. Not. Yeah, Grandma Sherry, that's like a common theme with a lot of this stuff on here. I don't know if it's just them trying to be confrontational or whatever. It's just like they really are dogging out law enforcement, other officials, and yeah, these are people that do this for a living. you know, it's like it's just hard to believe. Yeah, no, exactly, Elizabeth. But they always go to the extreme in every direction. So like she's talking firing squad already, just to make it more sensationalized. Um, Here we go, a little bit more of this chick, I guess.
And just because someone has been arrested in this case does not mean that it is over. It could literally just be beginning because
The Federal Reserve Bank of New York just issued a digital dollar. Effective.
think about it. If Bryan actually does get exonerated the way that his original verbiage stated he was going to be, and now we have Bethany, according to the defense.
That's another thing. Like in that rumor, I mean, where is this documented at? Wasn't an anonymous source that said that he said that? Oh, who else? Remember they said what did they say? They were like he asked, was someone else arrested when he was arrested? But that, I mean, that's not fact. We don't know that to be fact, but yet they'll run with that. They'll say that, but anything else that's said, not that they should believe any of it, but I'm just saying, like, why believe one thing and not another? It's like they pick and choose whatever fits their little anti-government or anti-prosecution or um, you know, get some views up or whatever the hell they're doing right now. It seems like a lot of people are covering this little section. I guess because he also is asking for a pause because he may give a formal alibi, and so that might kind of, I think that's another reason why a lot of these people are jumping on this little bandwagon right now too, because say he does have an alibi, maybe he isn't guilty. I mean, for all we know, we don't know. So maybe he isn't, and how great would that be for some of these creators to be like, oh man, I knew he was innocent the whole time. He came with an alibi, and they had to drop the charges or whatever. I mean, I'm just saying because he's going to use every obscure little thing that he could do. I said at the beginning of this thing too. Like standing silent and all the other stuff that he's going to do. I mean, he's going to pull out every little, thing he can out of the bag, little trick, because he studied this. This is what he does. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, exactly. I'm just gonna hang out in jail for a while, blah blah. No big deal. Yada yada yada. Just hang out, do a little workout. Nice little 6 month workout routine. Yeah, I mean, exactly, Grandma Sherry. I mean, look at the people. I mean, what's that show? 60 Days In. These people are going in. They're going to. I mean, they're only going to county. They're not going to like prison, but that's all he's doing. He's sitting in county. From what I understand, he's like the only person down in the little jail right now, anyways. So he's like has the whole place to himself. Um, so yeah, it's not a huge deal. It's not like he's in the middle of a big city and he's just thrown in the general population or anything. So, all right, here we go. I don't. Do you guys know this Jules of all trades. I don't know if you got. It's like my first time seeing her. I just saw that she was talking about this. There's a lot of creators are kind of going over this right now, where they're thinking the prosecution's just basically dropping the ball, or that Brian's just getting a raw deal.
That has exculpatory evidence for Bryan. And the very definition of exculpatory is to exonerate the defendant. And now we have the prosecution giving them scrambled information and ways that don't really make a lot of sense. And the defense is playing their games back with them too. But what if after all of this, Bryan is let go because he is exonerated, because there is exculpatory evidence to release him from these charges? Then what?
Yeah, I mean, then they'll have to continue their investigation. I mean, they have to be pretty. They have to have more evidence. I'm assuming. I mean, this is a huge case, and for them to have him arrested like that, I mean, they gotta have a little bit more evidence. They're just not showing right now. I mean, you hope, but um, it's just that's what it is. I mean, if his lawyers could find a little trick to get him out, I mean, that's messed up, and they'll have to try to fix that loophole. But you never know. All right, here we go.
Then it starts all over because there are still 4 victims whose murderer is not in jail. So what everyone needs to be really hoping is that they have it right. Because either they don't have it right and we are still all in danger. Everyone in that area is still in danger. There is a psychopath who just killed 4 people and got away with it on the loose with probably a huge brain and ego just ready to pounce. But if
Hey, don't freak anybody out. uh, yeah. I mean, if he's not the guy, he's not the guy. Let's hope they figure it out sooner than later. If he's not, and then they can move on and find the right person or persons. I mean, like I said, that they have some pretty decent evidence. A lot of it's circumstantial, but you put it all together, it's possible. Um, that's why they have a trial.
if he isn't innocent and he does get out, then he's already killed 4 people and got away with it.
Yeah, like I was saying at the beginning of this, it's like they're not even, they care less if he did it or not at this point. They're just saying that they feel the prosecution and the police and the judge and everyone's doing a bad job. I mean, that's basically what they're saying, like, or I guess that's what they're saying. I really am kind of lost at this whole thing, but this is supposedly the true crime community telling us how it is. I don't know. Here we go.
And just because his name is now spread everywhere doesn't mean he won't be able to go somewhere to live a normal life, to where he can do it all over again. We do not want the wrong person in either way that this goes. We're not going to sit here and act like, oh, they got the guy, case closed, when we have brains and we can read things and we can see things are not being done correctly.
Yeah, once again, I mean, they're just like, I don't understand how these people could sit on here and critique law enforcement and these other officials, investigators. I mean, the FBI is involved in these things in this case, even, I mean, what are you saying? I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Hey, Wing Zero, what's happening?
And it's not just on one end. We see that we have issues with Moscow PD itself. Well, then we go and we looking through Don Daniels' information, who's a WSU officer, and we find out she mishandled blood evidence for 10 days. And she took it upon herself to ask the court to exclude the genealogical DNA evidence when it came to actually signing for the warrant. That's 2 agencies. Then we have ISP, who apparently couldn't find anything on the knife sheath and then suddenly found a male profile. But we're hearing from other outside sources it wasn't ISP that found it. They had to send it out for help. Yet we're only.
Yeah, there's another one where they're saying they're hearing from outside sources, anonymous sources, outside sources. Same thing that they're bitching about that we can't believe, don't believe anonymous sources. That's what Drip Drop was telling us. But they're believing certain aspects of this where that isn't 100% fact. That is hearsay at this point. We don't know it to be a fact or anything. The police haven't come out and said that. Basically, what I heard was that they did find a little bit of a DNA, but they didn't want to do any more, and they sent it off so that this other company can multiply it and make it a bigger sample, so that they can extract whatever they needed from it. But that's even hearsay, so we don't know what's actually fact and what's not in that case. But they kind of, it goes with their narrative, so they kind of run with that too.
Hearing about ISP in any of the documents. So that's 3 agencies now. See, this isn't just us trying to make something out of nothing. These nothings are somethings, and those somethings are there. That's the problem. We don't want a psychopath on the loose, and we don't want an innocent man in jail. I mean, it's not really a hard concept. We're not Bryan fans, psychos. Truth, justice, the right person put away, no holes in the investigation. It's not much to ask for.
It's not much to ask for. Have it all wrapped up with a nice pretty bow. Like, what? It should be perfectly wrapped up right now. You should have the right man in, no holes in anything. Yikes. Anyways, that was, what was her name again? Sorry. Jewels of all trades, true crime and reactions. Jewel of all trades, true crime reaction. Anyways. Yeah, so that was the other one. There was one more. Do you guys want to watch one more? It's I don't know if it's worse or not than the first 2. And I honestly, I couldn't really follow it too well, but here we go. Hang on, let me bring it up. We might as well. Uh, Sorry, one second. All right, I found it. Let me get through the commercials real quick. Everything has commercials. There's my little screen. Ah. All right. All right, this is the Drunk Turkey Show. It's a little clip from one of their podcasts where supposedly they're given some evidence that kind of shows that Bryan Kohberger's innocent, or it's a prosecution's gonna have a problem with this part or this little section here. Oh yeah, you like that, Grandma Sherry? I got a couple different ones here. Wait, you gotta look at it. So I had that one, and then I had this one I found. Dude. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the drunk, the drunk turkey. What is it? Ah man, I'm the worst at this already. Drunk turkey show. So this is called Kohberger. This don't look good for the prosecution. It's a clip of their broadcast. It's like a 10-minute clip. Hang on one second. Let me speed it up. I don't know how fast these guys talk. We'll try 1.5 to start and see what happens. But yeah, we might have to go slow it down actually because they talk a little country. But here we go. This is what they're saying is an issue for the prosecution.
We want to know, and I think we've come up with a couple of answers here. But when was Bryan Kohberger on radar, and why was he on the radar of the Moscow Police Department? There's a couple of articles that I've pulled up, or 2 articles in particular, that kind of talk about the timeline in reference to what occurred from the time that the incident had occurred on November 13th to the time that his Kohberger's arrest on December 30th. There's been a lot of debate whether or not the Moscow Police Department November 13th to the time that his Kohberger's arrest on December 30th. There's been
Yeah, so basically he's talking from December 13th to December 30th when Kohberger was arrested. So like this is like a little bit of a timeline and some other stuff. And they're saying when was he basically they're questioning when he was on the radar of the cops, and I'm not really quite sure how it all is bad for the prosecution. But anyways, here we go.
a lot of debate whether or not the Moscow Police Department had an informant that pointed them in their direction, if there was another person or a co-defendant, things of that nature, right? We often said that we felt that Kohberger wasn't prime suspect. So here's what we've been able to discover or find out. My theory, and you can go back to the couple of episodes before to check it out, has been that they were aware of Kohberger, but he didn't meet the criteria, right? He didn't have the vehicle, the appropriate vehicle. He had a 2015 Hyundai Elantra, and they probably checked his phone numbers against the cell phone towers and saw that he wasn't in the area because his phone was off during the time of the commission of the crime. And we felt that was a reason why they weren't looking at him.
Yeah, so basically he's saying like they weren't looking at Bryan because even though he did have a white car, Elantra, it wasn't the year. And they feel like they already ran his name, looked at him, said, "Oh, who's this guy?" And his phone didn't ping in the area at the time because it was off. Blah blah blah. Um, yeah, I don't. I mean, so there. It would make sense that they were on him that early. They're watching him, seeing what he was doing. But I mean, I don't. They would have. So what? They went after and got his DNA ahead of time. They just don't want to say they did. I don't know. It's weird. Because you would think that if they thought it was him, they found the DNA on the knife sheath, that they would go ahead and try to get his DNA and test it.
Him or whatnot. This article here, this is from the New York Times. This states here that they checked Mr. Kohberger's car more closely, according to court affidavit, including visiting the parking lot near his apartment in the early morning hours of November 29th. The vehicle was a 2015 model, and not the earlier model being sought out in Moscow. So right here, right now, they went to go look at his vehicle, and they were discouraged by the year of the vehicle. They also say that they hunt broad, and as investigators vacuumed more records and data, they already sought cell phone data for all phones that pinged cell towers within a half mile of the victim's house from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., according to the search warrant filings. I think that those two reasons right there, that Kohberger didn't have the appropriate year model vehicle at this time, and also the fact that his phone was off, I think they put him on the back burner. That's why when I think that he took off to Pennsylvania, I don't think they knew that he had left. The Moscow Police Department had put out that they were looking for a 2011 to 13 Hyundai Elantra. That came out December 7th.
So yeah, December 7th is when they released the white Hyundai Elantra, and all that shit went down. When they started talking about it, and everyone freaked out. But I think he says, I can't believe, I think he does mention when they switch it over. Once the FBI car guy looks at the videos and stuff and determines that it possibly could be a 2014 to 2016 Elantra. So maybe he talks about it. We'll see.
They never changed it, right? Now, according to the New York Times article,
That's what I wanted to say. I mean, that's such a minute difference, though. I mean, really, and anyone knows about cars that, within 5 to 10 years, there's not much of a difference in the body style, the shape, the overall car. The model stays pretty much the same for a nice little run there. So, I mean, yeah, exactly. Roman scissors. It's like best guesstimate. So for them to say, "Oh no, it's 2 years older than what they're looking for," I mean, like seriously, anyone they probably had a picture of a 2011 to 2013, and they could sit there and look at it and look at that car and be like, "Dang, it looks almost exactly like that car," Like I don't see that being a huge deterrent of them kind of focusing in on this dude. Um, Even though his phone wasn't on at the time of the murders, so it wasn't in the area, but supposedly earlier that morning it was, and they would have known that kind of early. It pinged off of there, is what they said. So I don't know. Anyways, here we go.
they had, and we'll talk briefly about it. This talks about DNA, and this talks about how investigators had used genetic genealogy methods to track down other individuals that committed crimes similar to what this crime was, but usually those being in cold cases, things of that nature. But what it says here is by the morning of December 19th, records show the investigators had a name, Bryan Kohberger. He had a white Elantra. He was a student at the university 8 miles from the incident, right? This is the December 19th, 2022 update with Chief of Police James Fry. My suspicion is this was released December 19th, but this was probably recorded December 18th. And the reason why I say this is over here in the New York Times article, December 19th in the morning is when they had a name of Bryan Kohberger, and they knew he had a white Elantra. So let's listen to what this has to say.
Come back and get credit for the work you've put in at Purdue Global. With your experience and
What do you have for an update?
Yeah, I don't remember. Does anyone remember when Bryan Kohberger left to head back to Pennsylvania with his dad? When was that? Was that like the 20th or something? I'm pretty sure they went back before Christmas, but I'm not sure what day they left. But that'd be interesting because he gets into it and they talk about I believe they talk about the white car that was found in like Seattle or something or somewhere else, and it had the license plates removed. Oh, he left in 12/13, huh? So he was already gone when they were doing all this stuff. Huh. Well, that's weird. But they had the name, and they just didn't know he had left town yet, probably, because like he was saying, they put him on the back burner, or they were looking at all the leads, because I remember them saying something like 22,000 white Elantras, um, in that area, and then that was just the years they were looking for, the 11 to 13s, not 14 to 16, where his car fell in that range. So it's a lot of cars to look through. Anyways, here, see what the chief had to say here.
About the white Hyundai Elantra.
We have many tips that have come in on the 2011 to the 2013 Hyundai Elantra.
Did you hear that? They have many tips on the 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. This was probably recorded December 18th, released December 19th, right? December 19th is when they find out Bryan Kohberger's name. That tells me that when up to this point that they didn't know it was a 2014 to 16 Elantra, and that the FBI profiler or whatever that they did in Quantico at FBI headquarters to determine that the vehicle was 2014 to 16 was after they had Bryan Kohberger's name. Yeah. I think that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I'm not following why that's a big deal. I mean, is it just me, or like I really don't think, like, when you're standing there looking at the car, you're not gonna be like, it looks so much like the 2013 model that you would. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't. He finds it weird that they already had Kohlberger's name, and they were already think it was him before they even knew his car actually fit what the new guy thought it was, the FBI people. So I don't know, weird. Anyways, see what else he has.
Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
December 19th, they find out his name. December 18th, we assume that this is when this is being recorded. They don't have his name. He's already left, right? Now, if we were to go to the Airmail article by Howard Bloom, it states here that Chief Fry for one to be met late in the morning on December 20th with Rand Walker, the department psychologist, and Rod Opes, one of the police chaplains in the courthouse library. It was one of the few places they could huddle where the chief felt no one would be listening. He says, I'm going to need you two guys to get ready. He said with a deliberate coyness, I'm going to need you before too long. The two men eagerly asked whether there had been a break in the case. Fry did his best to rein in a pregnant smile. All I'm saying, he reiterated, is I need you both to stand by. I might be calling you very soon. But by 4:30 that afternoon, Moscow Police Communication Team issued a flash update. Investigators were aware of the white Hyundai Elantra located in Eugene, Oregon, and have spoken with the owner of the vehicle, not believed to have any relation to any property to Moscow or Idaho or the ongoing investigation.
Yeah, so he's referencing now. So I don't understand what that has to do with anything. Like, they really thought that they know that. I mean, I guess what he's going to say is like they knew they're pretty sure it's Bryan Kohberger who was the murderer or whatever. That's their suspect. Now he's not where he's not at his apartment. The car's not there. They don't know he went back home. And then the car is found with the license plates removed, smashed up and crashed. It's a white, it's like the same year and everything. But they were able to probably figure it out real quick with the VIN number that it wasn't Bryan Kohberger's car. But it was found in like Oregon or some shit. So that's what he talks about here. And like I just don't understand like why that even matters. Like, so I mean, I guess he's saying they've already knew it was him, or they already dialed in on him at that point. I mean, I guess that's good. I don't. Am I missing something? Anyone know what's going on? Let me know.
That tells me that they didn't know where Bryan Kohberger was. You get what I'm saying? Because if they thought that the White Elantra, this is the White Elantra, that was in Eugene, Oregon, and the reason why maybe they thought it was him is because once they got his name December 19th, they probably went to go look for him, maybe ask him a few questions. I think that was probably what the scenario was going to be. He wasn't home. At the very least, try to get eyes on the guy, right? And when he's not there and they see a crashed Elantra come up in Eugene, Oregon, you know, they're probably watching him the 19th, the 20th. Hey, he didn't show up at any point, not knowing that he was cross country. They didn't know where he was. This vehicle pops up, fin crashed. The license plates have been removed. No, wrong side. There it is. License plate has been removed. Front bumper was taken off.
Oh, they wrecked the front bumper. They must have
Right.
been with that bad boy.
But what this tells me, Big Blue, is they thought this was Kohberger. And I think that's why they were able to clear this vehicle so quickly without having to.
I guess he's saying that they cleared the vehicle so quickly. WSU campus police searched their database for the car 11/29. Oh wow. No idea they're just talking out their butts. The Oregon Elantra went viral and law enforcement had to debunk it. Yeah, it was kind of like with the other stuff, with the other, like the grub truck, the truck where they got the food driver and they had to like kind of say, hey, he's not involved, you know, get off his back kind of deal. So weird, but yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of follow what he's saying. He's saying like they weren't sure where Bryan was, which makes sense. You know, if they figured it out that he was a person of interest to them on the 19th, they were looking for him. This happened on the 20th, where this car was. So like, oh, did he? You know, he wasn't there at his apartment. He could have run. So yeah, let's see what else they got to say.
Necessarily go down there. They probably had somebody go out there, check the VIN number, it came back to another vehicle. It's not involved. That's why they cleared it without having to go down there and check. They already were looking for a suspect. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't know where he was. So this leads me to believe that the stops in Indiana were what they were. You know, we have talked about that. We talked about the demeanor of the officers that approached that vehicle. Had they been aware that the operator of that vehicle was a quadruple homicide suspect, I would anticipate that the demeanor be a lot more on the radio.
Yeah, so he's going to talk about the two stops that Bryan had on the way back with his dad. So basically, you know, he's saying that they didn't know, they were just normal stops that Indiana state troopers or whoever, I think it was Indiana, where he got pulled over twice. But they didn't know, you know, they weren't tracking him at that point. It wasn't an all points bulletin out on him kind of deal. or stop him or whatever. He's saying that they didn't know yet because the way they acted, just like a normal traffic stop. But yeah, no, his dad was weird when he mentioned like the other, like there was like another murder with a gun or something, not the stabbings. It was like another murder, and his dad mentioned it to the cop at the one stop. I thought that was odd, but I don't know. Here we go.
The approach. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what this guy's going to do. You know, if he just committed this crime, you're stopping him. You know, he doesn't know that you're stopping him for unrelated crimes. To his knowledge, you know, to Bryan Kohberger, he may have thought that they were stopping him because of the quadruple homicide. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think they found out where he was. Now, I feel that, and this is where I'm like sort of, you know, going back into my speculation, and you tell me if this makes sense, Blue. But I feel that at this point, they felt that they were going to make this arrest. Now, if you go back to the New York Times article, this talks about the DNA, right? And how they were able to track down Kohberger. From this article, what I understand is that the Moscow labs was able to identify a DNA profile. What they did was they sent it to another lab to get a more in-depth profile and also to conduct a genealogy test, which would basically be like the Ancestry 23andMe. And they were able to connect.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard too. But you know, I mean, that's all speculation. We don't know exactly what and how and who found the DNA. You know, we don't have all that information yet, so we'll see.
That DNA to a name of a distant relative of Kohberger, right? And so I think that they felt that somewhere between the 19th when they got his name to the 20th when they decided not to announce anything or go and arrest Kohberger, I feel that they decided that they felt the need to come up with other means of pinning this crime on him, other than that genealogy DNA. Because let's just say that piece of evidence gets thrown out, right? Anything found behind it would get thrown out as well. And so I think what they did was they decided to, you know, start searching more into Kohberger after that point, probably talk to his professors and things of that nature. It's probably
Dang. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know about all that. I mean, just it's kind of a weird theory, but I don't know. Let's see what else he has to say.
probably a lot easier to do with Kohberger out of state as well, without having to, you know, arouse suspicion because he wasn't in the area or at the campus, things like that. And they were able to come up with, in my opinion, a somewhat loose warrant for his cell phone pings. You know, based on his knowledge of criminal justice, I don't think.
Yeah, just nowadays though, like everyone lives and dies with DNA. They love DNA. It's like it's just, but I just don't. I mean, that kind of DNA is just not going to be the smoking gun, for lack of a better phrase. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what else they got to say.
Think that that's merely enough to indicate that he was, you know, that he was possibly the actor in this case. Now, I think during that time is when they sent that those images of the White Elantra to Quantico, where they could go out there and, you know, manipulate those images, clear them up, so that they can determine that it was in fact indeed a possibility that it was a 2014 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. Thank you for catching that clip of the Drunk Turkey Show.
Yeah, that was the Drunk Turkey Show. They had a little clip where they explained a little bit of their theory of what they thought was going on, or what could be a problem for the prosecution. I don't get it really, but what can you do? Trying to see, was there another one that? Yeah, I think that was it. That was the last one. Yeah, it was just there you go. There was 3 videos, actually 4 videos, but from 3 different creators. all kind of questioning the prosecution, man. And just is Bryan Kohberger getting a raw deal here? Are they railroading them? Is it just them trying to sweep it under the rug as quick as they can? Little patsy, as the drip drop would say. uh, yeah, they are exactly Roman scissors. Exactly, Elizabeth. They make up stories. They run with it. A lot of these people think they know better than these officials, which is kind of funny, but not really, because they have these crazy theories and make up this crap. But what can you do? I just thought I'd show that stuff. And yeah, man, it's gonna be an interesting trial if it goes to trial. And interesting to see the little things he does too. Because like I said, he knows all the little tricks of the trade, so to speak, with standing in silence, knowing it was gonna be a not guilty by the judge. He was gonna put the plea in for him, and then now he may do a formal, what was it, a formal alibi or something. Um, so should be pretty interesting. Yeah, Rumble Scissors. I started to look at that when I was looking at this other stuff, and I was like, nah, that's just so crazy. But I may do that again. I may look at that, get a few videos together and check it out. Because yeah, the cartel theories are pretty out there. But according to some, Bryan Kohberger's pretty out there for a theory. So I guess we'll wait and see. But yeah, no, I can't wait to. I hope it goes to trial. 'Cause that'll be a good trial to watch. So yeah, no one to come up tonight, huh? I don't blame you. But I guess I'll end the stream. So let me know in the comments, or if you think he's guilty or not, or you're holding out for more evidence, one way or the other. And yeah, I'll see you guys again next live. Might do a video. Might have a little video I was going to get together, so I might do a video and release it, not live. So look out for that. Thanks for coming in. Hit the like, subscribe, and see you next time. Night. Yeah, it's like 4:45 here in the morning. Yeah, you're gonna wait for trial. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, no, I like a good trial, and especially when this is like a really crazy case. I mean, if one person did all that, that's like crazy, man. That's really that's the only thing that I think he has going for him, honestly, is I know I was saying goodnight already, but yeah, I just want to say, because like four people, and there were like two people, and two people were together at the same time, basically. So I mean, that's kind of crazy that one person did that. Um, but like I said, we don't know all the evidence and stuff, so um, hopefully they got some more on him if it's him, and hopefully if it's not him, he can prove his innocence, and they can find the right people or person. All right, guys, have a good night or morning, whatever it is for you. See you.